Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, February 15th, 2024. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. After 7 years of operation, the remaining balance on the loans used to finance the construction of the Argyle International Airport is $175 million. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves, who was at the time addressing a celebration ceremony yesterday to mark the 7th anniversary of the AIA. The construction of the airport was financed by government grants and by donations and loans from several agencies and countries, including Cuba, Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, Austria, Malaysia, Turkey, Qatar, Libya, and Taiwan. The airport was constructed under the auspices of the International Airport Development Company, IADC, a private limited liability company owned by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, at a reported final cost of approximately $700 million.
Most of which we owe to the Alba Bank, just over $100 million. We owe $60-something million to the bank in Taiwan, supported by the government of Taiwan, and about $8.4 million to a finance company in the United Kingdom called North Star. And I will come to that very shortly.
Prime Minister Gonsalves expressed gratitude to all those who contributed to the construction of the Argyle International Airport, which he said has been serving SVG well.
I want to thank the following governments for their assistance with this airport: the Republic of Cuba, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Republic of China and Taiwan, Austria, Georgia, the country, not the state in the USA, Mexico, Argentina, Libya under brother Muammar Gaddafi, Iran under President Ahmadinejad, Turkey, then under Prime Minister Erdogan, now President Erdogan, and of course the CARICOM Development Fund.
Two portraits were unveiled at Wednesday's celebration event to commemorate the 7th anniversary of the airport's operation. One of the portraits is of Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves and the other of Governor General Her Excellency Dame Susan Duggan. Addressing yesterday's event, Chairman of the Argyle International Airport Board of Directors, Godfred Pompey, said that the portraits will be displayed on the walls so that travelers will see the great minds behind the vision for the airport.
We must continue to work together to maintain and care for this, which has become a national symbol. That is why we have a number of our staff joining with us, a number of our board of directors here celebrating. And as a board, we decided that we will have Dings Johnson do two portraits for us in recognition of two of our leaders in their honor. One for Her Excellency and the other for our Prime Minister. And they will be hung on to my left so that all Vincentians and the traveling public will have a good view of those who continue to contribute towards our national development. For it is important that we honor and pay respect to our leaders. I think it's biblical. And I'm delighted to have both officials accept the board's.
Pompey further added that since the opening of the Argyle International Airport, there has been an overwhelming increase of international flights into SVG.
This is a proud moment for all Vincentians. even as we celebrate a labor of love, and as the chairperson said, being Valentine's Day, we have more than one reasons to celebrate. And I can remember as we toyed with the idea of a theme for the opening of EIA, I think it's Minister Francis who coined labor of love. Correct? As a people, let us continue to appreciate and celebrate our achievement. Our dreams have become reality. Today, if you look at the monitor in terms of for the flights, we have 3 international flights today. No more long layovers in other neighboring countries as we move to international destinations. We have direct connections.
Wednesday, February 14th, 2024 was also a significant day in the Christian calendar, Ash Wednesday, and the start of the Lenten season. During this time, believers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the region and around the world are expected to observe the Lenten season with a number of religious activities leading up to Easter Sunday, the day believed to be when Jesus Christ rose from the dead. For the Lenten season and beyond, Reverend Philbert Delaney of the Methodist Church is urging Vincentians to return to God.
Out of this nature, we are redeemed and forgiven. Here is the joyful message of grace, reflecting God's mercy and love unconditionally, showered on us unworthy sinners and giving us new life. The beautiful thing about returning to God and ultimately accepting God's gift of salvation is that we receive His Holy Spirit, which starts to actively work within us, enabling and transforming us to be Christ-like. We will continue to be affected by unexplained difficulties and periods of uncertainties. Nevertheless, we must return to God and live. This Ash Wednesday, may we journey through the 40 days of Lent in a manner that promotes living amid the difficulties and uncertainties of life. As we gather, worship, and converse in the coming weeks, may we yearn to be embraced by God in a manner of trust, where we are not endeavoring to explain or justify what is happening around us, but simply desiring sweet fellowship.
Reverend Delaney says God's powerful message of renewal should also encourage everyone to turn to Him and live in a Christ-like manner.
It can be called dawn in the message of Joel, the unique 400 BC prophet. We are unsure of the specific historical circumstances of this prophecy. However, the use of the imagery about the incursions of devastation locusts is clear. Notably, Joel does not accuse or blame the people of any sin or provide any discourse from God along that line. Additionally, Joel does not attribute the lotus devastation to divine punishment. Pointedly, though, Joel focuses on what we ought to do or to whom should we turn when individually or as a community we face threatening circumstances beyond our reasonable conclusions. Vitally, the prophet Joel directs us to God, who called the people to consciously, deliberately, and wholeheartedly turn or return to Him in supplication and lamentation.
Statistics from the year 2022 show that cardiovascular or heart disease is the second leading cause of deaths here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with Vincentians being urged to be mindful of their lifestyle habits. On VC3 Roundtable Talk last evening, Cardiologist Dr. Addis Fuentes outlined the risk factors of heart disease, including obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking. Noting the importance of taking care of your heart, Dr. Fuentes is encouraging the healthy eating habit and regular health checks.
Important because unfortunately it's very often see problem in the cardiovascular system, and the control of the risk factor is very important for prevent that inside. So the diabetes, hypertension, the arrhythmia are risk factor very important. Obesity, of course. Obesity is another risk factor that go to the hand of hypertension and diabetes. So a good diet is very essential. The good habit of diet is very important that we promote the people to know. It's very important to teach to the people how eat healthy, the importance that have the physical exercise in the person, incorporate the hydration, drink plenty water, eat more vegetables, decrease the carbohydrate in the dish, in the normal dish, because sometimes the people prefer eat fast food, for example, pizza, Subway food, that is not the best. You can eat one time, but not daily, because this situation with the pass of the time increase the level of cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, that we call LDL cholesterol, and can produce this type of disorder.
Dr. Fuentes further outlines the different types of heart disease in adults, including heart failure.
Risk factors like hypertension, diabetes, overweight, can produce predisposition of that the person develop atherosclerosis, that produce occlusion in the arteries of the coronary artery that feed in the muscle of the heart, and this produce more incidence of heart attack in the population. So this is the first cause of heart disease in the adult age. And it's very often see patients with angina, myocardial infarction, dilated cardiopathy due to this condition. The another condition that is very often is the heart failure due to valvulopathy. Sometimes in the young person occupy one important place, the rheumatic fever, that with the pass of the year develop dysfunction of the valve of the heart and produce heart failure. So it's very important the prevention and the early diagnosis of this condition for prevent that the disease progressing for more complication. So it's very important the early detection of this condition in the children.
The Ministry of National Mobilization, Social Development, Family, Gender Affairs, the Youth, Housing and Informal Human Settlement is hoping to establish by March 31st, 2024, 2 at-risk child rehabilitation centers, one of which will be for boys ages 10 to 17. This is according to the Minister, Dr. Orlando Brewster, who was addressing yesterday's launch of the Opportunities to Advance and Support Youth for Success OASIS project, which seeks to reduce crime and violence rates among young people across the Eastern Caribbean.
And I must admit, we do not have the accommodation currently, but we are actively looking. We have some perspectives already, and we are hoping by March 31st that we would have 2 at-risk homes being established here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the first time in this year, 2024. Who will be placed at these at-risk homes? Children which exhibit signs of behavior and conduct disorders, who cannot be placed at any existing child care facilities. Children or young people who are in conflict with the law under the age of 16 years, who have been charged or placed on remand. Boys 16 to 17 years who have committed summary offenses, and chronic runaways. who usually run away from their parents' home. So that is what it would entail for boys and for girls. Same thing, those who exhibit signs of behavior and conduct disorder, who cannot be placed at any existing child care facility. Those also in conflict with the law, under the age of 16. Those who commit summary offenses, same thing applies for girls, and the chronic runaways as well. So we have to deal with this situation.
Minister Brewster said in order to have such a facility, there must be a management structure, and they will be establishing a Children at Risk Intervention Management Interagency Committee to coordinate, monitor, and implement the various interventions.
This will be supported by the ministry, the government. We're taking charge and we're taking lead. But it cannot be done just by ourselves. We are depending on the NGOs. We're depending on the social workers. We're depending on the teachers, the principals. Because it hurts me that when we walk through the city sometimes, we find some of these persons on the street. Also, this committee, we are going to restructure the Liberty Lodge Boys Training Center. We're going to do a massive overhaul there, and we're going to streamline what we are doing at the center and differentiate it from these homes for at-risk youth. So I see the staff here from the Liberty Lodge. I see some smiles. Yes, we are going to get it done, and we want to get it done before December 2024. I must say that this government shows keen interest in our young people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And my mandate as the minister with the responsibility for youth is to make sure that all our mechanisms within the Ministry of National Mobilization is functioning to top capacity. And I'm so happy that Oasis is coming at this time, in a timely manner, where we can springboard into the development and broadening the scope of what we do at our Liberty Lodge Training Center and these 2 new homes that we are going to establish for our boys and girls.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the latest OECS country to launch the Oasis project behind St. Kitts and Nevis. Oasis is said to be a continuation of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, the JJRP, implemented by the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, and supported by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. Oasis seeks to transform the justice landscape for our youth. It aims to shift the focus from punitive measures to creating opportunities for diversion, rehabilitation, and successful reintegration into society. A male suspect is in police custody assisting with the investigation into the Valentine's Day stabbing death of a 30-year-old woman of Camden Park. A news release from the RSVG police force says the police at the Kettles police station are investigating the circumstances surrounding the incident. According to the news release on Wednesday, February 14, 2024, about 11:40 a.m., the police received a report of a stabbing incident in Camden Park. The police had met a female lying unresponsive in her yard with what appeared to be stab wounds on her body. She was later identified as Corona Jennings and pronounced deceased at the scene by a medical practitioner. The police news release says the crime scene was secured and processed by the crime scene unit. A postmortem examination will be conducted on the body to ascertain the cause of death. Jennings' death is the 7th homicide recorded in SVG for the year thus far. The RSVGPF extends condolences to all who are negatively affected by the incident and is encouraging anyone with information that can assist the police with this investigation to contact the Kettles police station at 784-456-1750. That's 784-456-1750. The police emergency at 911 or 999, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable speaking with. The police say any information received would be treated confidentially. There has been a noted increase in fires in recent years, some of which have resulted in property loss and human casualties. This is according to Station Sergeant Terrence Williams and Inspector Curtis Clark, who on the COP Chat program today on WeFM discussed the topic, causes and effects of fires, prevention and control mechanisms. Inspector Clark said it is critical that the public be informed about the preventative mechanisms to prevent and control fires, which often get started due to negligence.
A lot of people leave the fan running and leave the home and go whether in town or to a different area. And that's one of the source of fires that we recently been seeing. When we do our checks, we could see where the fire started. And when we check in the area where the fire started, the electrical equipment that is being plugged in and being running is a fan. Sometimes people left other things plugged in, and those may have faults, like maybe a cell phone charger can start a fire. If your home is being wired in the old method, you should have periodical inspection being done on your premises to ensure that your system is up to date or is running properly. Because a lot of times, for instance, have the old system and which has been phased out, and we know they put more safety measures in place in terms of the breaker. So if something happened, that breaker flips or chip, and it cut off the current source going towards that. And even though you have the breaker in place, you can also have a fire, because the fire could happen between the span from where you plugged into the breaker. But we advise that you have a building check to make sure that you are, you are on the right path.
Inspector Clark also pointed out the consequences of using defective equipment, which he said can easily start a fire.
Properly extinguish cigarette before disposal, and as you mentioned, when feeling sleepy. But come down to the bottom of my list, I see a very important one here that I really like to expand on. And sometimes we can't afford to buy a new one because, things, we say, things may be tight and so on. And we'll be using that electrical equipment. And knowing the condition of it, we continue to use it regardless to what the status of it is. And many instances, these start fires in the home. And when these things happen and fire started, it doesn't always affect the immediate surrounding in which it is, because it poses all different issues. It poses financial issues, health issues, because inhaling the borne items or the borne equipment or material, that poses a problem to individuals. We know we have situations of health issues where persons are asthmatic and may have different condition. So all these things can be affected because of the malfunctioning equipment that you continue to use. And these fires, if a fire starts at your premises, it can spread to another neighbor premises. So hence the reason why you have to be very careful, because you're not only going to destroy your premises, but you're going to cause another neighbor to lose their property.
Inspector Clark and Station Sergeant Williams used the opportunity to appeal to the members of the public to do their part in preventing fires to avoid loss of lives and property.
When you hear a fire engine moving from point A to point B, please allow the fire engine to pass, whether it is vehicular traffic or pedestrians, because we are heading to an emergency, and with that in mind, it could be your house that we're going to extinguish. We ask drivers not to park anywhere alongside the road. We got many difficulties in the past in respect to passing area, because vehicles are parked in a narrow area and the truck cannot pass at all, but be there for a period of time blowing. So we want persons to be a bit more cognizant as to the fact that you have to leave space, not even for emergency vehicle like the fire truck, but maybe for your own neighbor. They might have an emergency and want to move from point A to point B with an ill person. So we have to be, very mindful of these things and be our brother's keeper.
All right, Station Sergeant Williams.
Please, people, be more cautious, because once there's a fire at your home, sometimes it's your whole life work. It's everything plus loss of life, and we want to avoid having that. A vehicle, it's a lot of money, and it's hard to start over from scratch. It's very hard.
Students of the Gombe Methodist School were yesterday given the opportunity to experience the procedures of traveling as part of the school's Literacy Week of activities. The School Literacy Week began on Monday, February 12th and will culminate tomorrow, Friday, February 18th. Coordinator of the Literacy Week of activities, Melissa Cordis, said the activities held thus far have been successful.
This year, for our Literacy Week, we're operating under the theme, Reading Takes You on Adventures, Come Travel with Us. We began on Monday with our opening service. Our students facilitated and they did a marvelous job. We ended the day's activity by going on a march through the community under the theme Sock It Up, and this is where we wore socks to showcase different means of transportation. Yesterday we had our Jeopardy activity. The students took part and they had a wonderful time. Our drama day, and we decided that we're going to choose stories and songs from different Caribbean countries. So for our drama day, some classes would be dramatizing stories and some would be dramatizing songs. Tomorrow, we would be heading out to Raroku, where they will be having a fun time. And we also decided to pay a visit to the Argyle International Airport, and that would bring our activities for this year's Literacy Week 2024 to a close.
Wednesday's mocked airport and aircraft departure activity was held in commemoration of the 7th anniversary of the Argyle International Airport.
Today was designated as Numeracy Week, and the entire school looks like an airport. So the students began at kindergarten, where they purchased their tickets. They checked in, went through immigration, and they came through here, security checkpoint here at grade 2. And they went on to their flight, and they're at their destination.
All right, so we were actually the first stop in our numeracy adventure today. We are the ticketing agents, so we issued the children their tickets. Nadia here, she typed it up into the computer and gave them their prices, and I was able to write up their boarding pass and get it out to them.
So basically what we did at this port, immigration, we welcome home the returning nationals. We're glad to have them back home. So we have the 3 sections where we welcome the nationals, the CARICOM citizens, and we have the international ones. The tellers here, we just welcome them back home, ask them how was their stay. Those who are traveling for the first time, maybe coming here for the first time, we welcome them, ask them to enjoy themselves. And basically, we ask them to declare what they have to declare. If there's anything to declare, they'll simply take their bag from the baggage department and they simply go home, wish them the very best at the end of their voyage, their journey.
The school's Literacy Week of activities will end tomorrow, Friday, February 16th.